A tender involves a period of time for promoting the property, a date, a closing date for submissions of an offer. Usually that period of time runs around about 3 to 4 weeks. I've had them run longer for particularly complicated properties, but 3 to 4 weeks. In a formal tender, the purchaser turns up with a contract note and a deposit and a waiver of calling off. So it's the same as auction, except they don't know what the other offers are. In informal tenders, there tends to be varying standards of paperwork that can include a contract note, but then people get a calling off period. Or it can just be by way of letter of offer and then deal with the top one and negotiate or agree on the price and then evidence that in writing. But no matter what, the process is very similar. That is, you go through a period of marketing, you come to a date, and the tenders tend to be sealed and they're put in a box or delivered and only opened in front of the vendor at the point of considering those tenders. Now, different clients will have a different perspective on it, but very often there's no negotiation. You take the best one that's there, or you negotiate with the best one there if they're in a position where they're superior to the others, but not necessarily
not quite in the ballpark.
Not quite in the ballpark, and you need to talk to them about it, etc. So all of those things can pan out, and again, I've run quite a lot of them. The only thing I'd say about tender is for the less sophisticated market, that is, the property I was talking about that sold for $2 million more is obviously an expensive property, and people in those circumstances are often used to dealing with the tender process. But a person who is just an ordinary house buyer, you find that if you had 10 people interested in a property and one was being auctioned and one was being sold by tender, what would happen is with the auction one, out of those 10, about 6 would participate, because there's always going to be 4 or so who hate auction and don't want to do it on principle or another reason. Maybe not being able to purchase with an unconditional offer, whatever or scared that they might lose control of their own senses, and so these are all valid reasons for them. But funnily enough, out of a tender process, that process is less trusted than auction in my experience, because if I have 10 people interested, I might only get 4 participate.
Is that because people are afraid of continuing to a Dutch auction? Or?
Well, Dutch auction's an interesting terminology. I can tell you the reason, that it's my perception of it and my understanding, is that people don't trust a situation where they don't see what else is being put on the table, as they do with auction. And I've had people say to me, if they'd only auctioned this property, Steve, I would have been in it, but seeing they're tendering, I don't want to be involved. But you can have it the other way too. Not so much though in my experiences. But that doesn't mean tender's a bad way to sell, not at all. None of them are perfect. Private treaty has its issues. You end up with people with a cooling off period and other things, conditional contracts very often, and other things that interfere, whereas an auction is clean, cash, unconditional, and no cooling off period. And tender, well, it can be anything. It can be with a cooling off period, it might not be, and it's a little bit wishy-washy on occasion.
It's in the middle there, at $987.5. At $987,500, bid in the middle. At $987,500. First call, second call. Yes, number 12, 990.